epic. It's just very epic. I'm just lost for words. I mean, what the hell just happened? I'm not gonna bore you with an entire intro. Just like the video if you like it and subscribe to my channel if you want to. Let's just dive. One of those things a lot of people have been requesting basically since the Digitakt was released, because the LED lights can be a bit bright, definitely in darker situations. I experienced this myself where I was playing live. So if all these flickering lights from the club and then these flickering lights from Digitakt on top of that, and certainly with longer sets of about 2 hours, in the second half of the set I noticed myself becoming a little bit disoriented by all the flickering lights. The LEDs are pretty bright. So yeah, they fixed this. So if we go to the system settings, you see this option LED intensity, and you can use your arrows. And I think the standard setting is max, and you can set it to low, which is perfect. This is the first big one, and this is again something people have requested for a very long time. Before this update, the Digitakt would sum input left and right to mono, so when you recorded a stereo signal, it would be summed to mono. That hasn't changed, but what has changed is if I go to the master page, we have the compressor, of course, then we have the internal mixer, we know that, but we have a third option, which is an external mixer. So now we can bring in a stereo signal and actually bring that into the mix of the Digitakt and add delay and reverb and balance it. We have a dual mode. If we turn it on, everything gets duplicated. So we can bring in 2 mono signals into the Digitakt and actually apply delay separately on each of those inputs. Very cool, and pen them in the stereo field. So this is a very nice addition to the Digitakt, and a lot of people have been waiting for this. The endless topics where this was discussed and people said, no, it's not possible. Well, apparently it is possible. So a small thing you should remember when using the external mixer is that when you press stop, double stop to stop any tills of reverbs and delays and that sort of thing, you need to trigger one of the audio tracks for the external audio to be sent to the reverb and delay. This is actually the same for the audio tracks. So the delay and reverb don't work until there is an audio track triggered. That's just inherent in how the structure works software-wise, as far as I understand. If at any point you think, hey, where is the epic reverb on my external synthesizer? That's why. Just trigger an audio track and it will be back. Okay, the second big one, and this is huge. This is basically the thing I've been hoping for since the Digitakt was released, because I knew if they add that, it will just make this thing pretty much untouchable in terms of quick workflow. People have been wanting this, and it's a bass width filter. So we have a second page now. Ta-da! Bass and width filter. And, we even have a delay setting. I'm going to go over that in a minute. And it's just very nice. So on track 8, I have this pad sound, and I used a high-pass filter on it to remove some of the low frequencies. And I could have, I could resample it and use the high-pass filter on it, and then I have the low-pass filter free. But it's not perfect, and it's very quirky because you cannot, hear it in context. And if you want to change it later, you have to resample again. But now I can just set this filter off basically and look at the new graphics. When it's off, it's very apparent that it's off. And now I can go to the second filter, simply remove the low end. Awesome. And now I have low pass filter. There we go. It's just, yeah, it really makes me happy. Just 2 filters on this sampler it's just crazy. If you've been paying attention, there's also this little UI change where you see a minus and a plus when the parameter is bipolar. Very nice addition as well, right? And we have the filter delay parameter, which is also very nice. And let me show you. It basically is another stage of the ADSR you have here. So you can actually change it by holding on this page, by holding func and then turning this knob. And you can see the graphics shift the attack phase in time forward. So it's a really, really nice addition. It's one of those things nobody asked for it, I think, but it opens up a lot of awesome rhythmic kind of type of stuff. So I can demonstrate a little bit. So let's set this to 12. Just gonna exaggerate it so you can really hear what's going on. So normally it's like this. I'm gonna exaggerate it, right? And I'm gonna shift it in time. It's much nicer. So with that, of course I'm exaggerating, but so you can hear what's going on. I think it's really, really nice. And the cool thing is you can actually modulate it with the LFOs. So we're not done here, because another cool thing that we have is additional filter types. You can see here we actually have EQs that we can use to boost certain frequencies, and we can change the Q basically, and it goes very, very sharp. So another nice fix they implemented is when you parameter lock the filter type, you don't hear this click anymore. In some situations you still can hear it, but overall I think they almost completely eliminated the click. So I could go into this kick track, for instance, and make sure that the amp length or the decay time of the amp page is short enough so it doesn't get a cut off, because then you get a click because the waveform is being cut off. I want to make sure that's not happening. So now if I set this to high pass filter, I'm gonna change this to 1 page. As you can see, shorten this one. No more click. This used to cause a very loud click and it's gone. So it's very, very nice. So now we can go crazy by using all different types of filter types per step if we want. Very, very cool. So this filter just got so much better. It's crazy. LFOs. So this is another one where, well, I think nobody would have dreamed this would happen, because everybody thought that the DSP was maxed out basically. But the developers managed to squeeze a lot more out of the Digitakt, and I'm very, very impressed. And this is just, you're gonna be like, what the we have 2 LFOs now. Not just in the Digitone, we now have 2 LFOs in the Digitakt. That's just insane. And you can also see that they've updated the graphics. So especially the wave and phase part are way nicer now. You can actually see exactly what's going on when you change various settings. So it's less confusing, especially for things like negative depth and negative speed, you know, what happens to the waveform. So you can actually see it here. If we go to the exponential wave, and I have positive depth, it's just the normal thing, right? It's a normal exponential wave where it's only positively modulating a parameter. And then we have the phase parameter, and you can actually see the waveform being shifted in time. Very nice. See? There we go. Very cool. And if I set the depth to a negative, you can actually see that it's now modulating the target parameter in a negative way. We can wrap our heads around a little bit easier around that concept, right? And the same goes for the speed. If I set it to negative speed, you can actually see that the waveform is playing backwards, basically. And if I set it to a negative depth now, you can see that it's negative speed and negative depth. Well, this is how the parameter is going to be modulated. It makes it way easier to wrap your head around what is actually happening. That's really nice. Another cool little addition they've added is that in free mode, the fade parameter actually gets triggered when LFO.T is locked to a trigger, or is on, basically. That's also very nice, because then you have this free LFO that is actually doing something rhythmic or is fading in and out depending on the triggers on in the sequencer. So you could have lock tricks that trigger the fade parameter while the LFO is in free mode. Very cool, right? Of course, we have a second LFO, and the second LFO can modulate the first LFO. Also very cool. And it's things like this that just these things are going to completely change the game of the Digitakt, because it became so much more versatile. You can do so many more cool things with it now, while still retaining that quick workflow that we love about it, right? It's not that much deeper. There are just a couple of extra pages added. While we're talking about extra pages, let's go over something that I've been wishing for a long time, especially on the Digitone. I hope they implemented this on the Digitone as well, but I'm sure they will. And that is, remember the last page you are on. This is essential for me when I'm performing live, and especially on the Digitone, this was one of those things that was a bit quirky, where it would kind of bug out if you go to a delay page and then would switch back to the filter page. It would then switch to the second page automatically while you didn't want it to, and it was very inconsistent. So it was kind of distracting while performing live. You would go to the filter and then it would switch to the other page than you were actually expecting it to. So now if you go to system settings, we have this remember sub page checkbox. So now, normally, like this is the default, is when it's off. When I go to the second filter page and now go to another page and back to the filter page, it will be back on the first page. While if I turn this on, it will remember that I was on the second page. So I can go to the amplitude, back to the second filter page, go to the external mixer, back to the second filter page, etc. Very essential, because you know, in a lot of situations, you want to tweak, add some reverb, go to the filter page, close the filter, back to this page, back to the filter, and always know that it goes to this page and that you can switch back and forth without it resetting, right? So this is one of those things that, again, I've been wishing for a long time. The next big thing is extended tune. So normally, in the previous firmware, we could go tune plus 24 and minus 24. But now we can go even lower. Yes, we can go to minus 60, which is pretty nice. And this reflects, of course, it's reflected in the note page as well. We can now go a couple of octaves lower, actually. So we're in chromatic mode. We can go plus 12, but we can now go minus 48, which is crazy low, and I really love it because I love to tune things down as much as possible. And before, I would tune down samples and then resample it and then tune it down again and resample it, etc. But now you can actually skip a couple of steps in that sense. It's very nice, and it's way more flexible because you can, of course, parameter lock it. So, and as you can tell, I'm just very enthusiastic about this release overall. So I'm really pumped. I get a lot of energy from this. It's just I'm so happy. It's the Digitakt just became so much more than it was, and I think it's now at a level where it is what everybody was hoping for, right? So another nice thing that is added to the menu system is the Global FX Mix, and this is also very cool. I'm not sure that I'm going to use it because this is one of those things where I kind of use each pattern and have their own settings. But for the internal and external mixer, this could be actually pretty nice. For the external mixer, this could be very nice. So basically what this does is it locks the delay, reverb, and compressor settings globally for all patterns in this project. And for the internal mixer, same thing, and for the external mixer as well. So for the external mixer, this makes a lot of sense because when I've plugged in external or two external synthesizers, I want to have this page be global. So if I change to a pattern, the settings aren't different and things get messed up. You know, I want to have this the same all over. You can actually see the inverted graphics telling you that it is in global mode. So it doesn't matter if I switch to other patterns, the settings stay the same. So you can do the same for the delay, reverb, and compressor. And I guess it's very nice if you, for the delay and reverb, I do get it. You know, when you change patterns sometimes and the settings are very different, definitely within one song, you can get these very exaggerated changes where you have this big break going on and with a big climax and the reverb is completely open, and then you switch to the next pattern and then the settings get triggered back and you hear this weird change suddenly to other reverb and delay settings. But for me, because I use a lot of grooves within one project for my live set, this is not very relevant because I have different delay and reverb settings per pattern. But actually, now I'm talking about it, I could maybe go into this menu live when I'm building this big break and go to the next pattern. I want the delay and reverb to stay the same. I could go to this menu and change it quickly to global delay and reverb, so the delay and reverb stay the same while changing to the next pattern. Could be nice. This is a small one, but it's very nice as well. In the recordings page, you can actually choose separate tracks to record. Very nice. It's just another one of those things where you don't have to mute everything else and just record that part. You can actually select the individual track. It's a small addition, but it's nice. So another cool thing they have added is MultiTrack Recording mode in step recording mode. So to activate that, we go into step recording mode by holding record and pressing stop, right? And now you see the green lit step, so you know you're in step recording mode. Normally when you press funk, you see this chromatic keyboard, right? So we can actually toggle between this mode and multi-track recording mode by pressing funk plus track. So if I hold funk, you can actually trigger each of the 8 audio tracks and 8 MIDI tracks to enter tricks into the sequencer, and the steps will move forward accordingly. So it's quite interesting. I'm going to clear the sequence, then I'm going into step recording mode. I'm going to toggle between chromatic mode and multi-track recording mode, and I'm now going to input some notes. Oh, I have to hold funk, of course. Kick, hi-hat, 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 a clap and a kick. Okay, let's see how that sounds. That's actually very quick. I think, I'm definitely gonna practice this to get the hang of it, but that's some That's a really quick workflow to get a groove going really fast. I think for live performances, actually, this could be very, very interesting. If you get the muscle memory down, I mean, it could be, you know, you could have this arpeggiated synth line going and be like, pap, 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 and you have, pap, 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 pap. Yeah. Slam, 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 or whatever. And really quickly input an entire groove, which is, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's just amazing what they've added in this update, and I think a lot of people will be very happy, and I think people that were listing their Digitakt to sell are probably rethinking that choice right now as we speak. Wow. Right? If you've been following my channel, you know how crazy I am about the Digitakt, even with its limitations, maybe because of its limitations. I've never thought that they would add so much to it. I really thought the DSP was maxed out. Kind of hoped that they maybe would add a bandpass filter, maybe. It's one tiny thing. But they added a second LFO, bass width filter, a filter delay. I mean, so many extra options. It's just everything I wish for. There are a couple of tiny things, a couple of things that they could still tweak, but for now, I mean, yeah, this is just gravy. I mean, if you're a Digitakt user, this is just, you've basically almost got a new machine now. If you like this video, like it. If you enjoy my videos in general, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified when I release a new video. Enjoy this epic release. It's incredible. I'm just gonna go stop this video right now and play. So.